Hey folks, and welcome to the Outriders demo. In case you don't know what Outriders is, it is a pseudo MMORPG shooter. Think Destiny, but in third person. Today we will be checking out the first few minutes, specifically the first mission in this game. We will make sure to record everything in 4K on max settings to showcase how the game looks like. But before we do that, let's take a look at the options. There are many, well, few, in fact, gameplay options, such as sprint toggle, ADS. I decided to hide the helmet. The audio settings, fairly simple, nothing too complicated. I went ahead and reduced the music volume because it is glaringly loud. Lots of HUD options for you to customize the game. These kind of games though, I think the more information you get, the better. And as such, I left everything on, with the only exception being the aspect ratio clamp because we are already at 16:9. Display, we are playing on 4K, full screen, VSync off, no FPS limit. The FOV goes up to 90. As you can see, everything is on Ultra. The game lacks ray tracing, in case you were wondering. Few options for keyboard and mouse, fairly standard. There's movement, there's sprinting, crouch, skills, reloading, etc. You can also change the ADS sensitivity as well as the ADS zoom sensitivity. For the folks that prefer to play with a gamepad, there are some options for a gamepad as well. Last but not least, a few accessibility options. So now that we've taken a look at the settings, let's go ahead and create our character. You can select a male or female, and for now we will go ahead with the male. There are a few preset options for the face. Most of them look very terrible, so we'll go ahead with these options. There are a few hairstyles as well. You can have a mohawk, and you can rotate the character with the arrow keys, not with the mouse, for some reason. We'll go ahead and select this one. A few facial hair options. We'll keep this one, make the hair black, and remove the scars as well as the earrings. Lastly, we'll randomize the character name, and we will go ahead with Matthias. And here, once you've progressed through the story, you can replay missions, which is awesome. Unlike Destiny, where once you finish the story you have to delete your character to start a new one. And you can also select your world tier. Currently we only have one. We unlock the second one, I believe, at the end of the first mission, so we will be able to see that. So let's go ahead and start. The game will take a few seconds to load us into a server. I will mention that I will be skipping the cutscenes as well as much dialogue as possible, because I am not interested in the story at all. I am interested in how the game plays. I have also read that the writing is atrocious. There are many cutscenes in the beginning, so if I were to include them, this video will probably last an hour, and we will get a maximum of 5 minutes of gameplay. And while the game does not have ray tracing, for the most part it is very good looking. there are a few moments where once you start looking at things in the far distance, you'll start to notice repeating textures, repeating objects, etc. I only came across this once or twice in the first few minutes that I tried the game in.
Stay sharp. Watch our sixes.
And one thing I really dislike about games,
I can't even process breathing air that doesn't smell like a
I think
burnt
Borderlands
carburetor.
is the biggest offender,
Used to.
is they force
Trust
you
me,
to listen
you'll
to
get used to
NPCs
fresh
talk.
air too.
They
Truth
also
is,
force you
none
to
of us should have even
walk
thought
as
of it.
slowly as possible.
Survivor's guilt. You think any one of us isn't
And
feeling it?
some
It's not
games that
just
allow content that kind
the
of makes sense
Turbos
because
engine hadn't
they want to
exploded
pad
back
the game
on
as
Earth
much as
and killed
possible.
most
But
of the
these
real
kind of
Outriders
games
with it.
where
There
the
would
focus
be a
is
bunch of
on
mercenaries
the
down
end
here in
game,
their place.
I hire.
it makes no sense
We'll
whatsoever.
make camp here. Outrider.
The good thing is we can skip
Let HQ
the
know
dialogue.
the
We
area's
don't actually
secure.
have to follow Mr. Cowboy over there. We can just run ahead and capture the camp.
All right, people. We got jobs to do. Cuthbert.
And here,
Star
we
Stick,
actually have
set
to
up a perimeter.
listen to him
I want
talk.
fortifications going up with.
So I will take this as
Jacob,
the chance to
your
explain a
field
few things
testing
about the game.
munitions. Gutman, get your
The
scanner
very
up
first
and
character that
running
you
so we
create,
can
you have
find
to go
those
through
damn
the
probes.
introduction up to the point that you
Outrider,
select your
word.
classes. For the second and
Hey,
subsequent characters, you don't
just
actually
tell me
have
what
to, you can just go ahead and select the class. For this demo, I will be selecting the Devastator class, which is the tankier of the classes. The reason for that is because I enjoy playing tanks. In here, you come speak to Jacob to start the shooting tutorial. Nothing too complicated. You come behind here, press space to take cover. One thing I did
fancy
notice that
stuff.
taking cover is
Yeah,
not as snappy as you would like it.
You're the first one to test it out.
Compare it
boss.
to, for example, the Division, where it's more or less instant.
Think you could take on a tank?
I
Alright,
cannot take
you
it
can
down.
stop showing off.
One thing I did read is that the developers
like
did not
riding
intend
a
this game
bike.
to be a cover shooter,
Now
which
give that sidearm a try, eh?
is a bit surprising because the game plays a lot like a
Somehow,
cover
18
shooter.
years has improved your age.
That being said,
Thanks.
the
Have a
Devastator in
luxury.
specific, we will notice, is probably one of the least cover-based class.
Did I ever mention how glad I am to be on your side?
And of course, for the humanoid targets, the weak point is the head.
Feels pretty good, doesn't it?
And the tutorial is a bit slow
Yep.
until you
Still
get
got
to the
it.
point where you can actually use your
Outrider,
skills.
check on our ECA rep. See if Shear's
This
found
is
any probes
a
yet.
or an ammo box. Pick it up, get some ammo. But that ammo has been an issue so far. Of course, you go around talking to more and more NPCs,
This place
as
is
is
beautiful.
the signature
We're
for
seriously lucked out.
most MMOs.
If only Grace could have seen this place.
The game
It's
comes
just
out
that
on
way, but I'm
April
here.
1st, in case you were wondering, and one thing I should also mention
9 o'clock, something
is that the
big.
demo is
All units
22
stay alert.
gigabytes in
Guard the
size,
perimeter. Hold your
fairly
fire till we
large
know what we're
for a demo, not gonna
Whoa.
lie.
We got eyes on some kind
But
of
if
hyena
at all you
looking
like what you
cow
are
things.
seeing, then
Yeah, I'm
do
seeing
yourself
them
a
over here
solid
too.
and
A whole herd
install
of
it,
them.
try it
Are we sure
yourself.
all the wildlife around here are vegetarian?
The demo
Whatever.
at the very beginning
They
tells
look
us
pretty
that this
ugly,
is
you ask me.
a part
Oh,
of
they're
the overall game.
astonishing.
This is
I
not
bet they can be
timed.
done.
There are side
one of
quests
those
that we
cow
will be
things
able
is sunning
to do
itself
later
right on my
on.
path.
Hey, maybe he can get close enough to get a DNA sample.
Not exactly our priority, but Scared it off, but I've secured the objective.
And in here, this is what I mentioned. You can
That's
see the
some
water
kind of
texture.
Storm brewing.
It's fairly low quality. The trees in the back, you can already see that they're being repeated.
Yeah.
And usually for
found
these
the
kind of
probe.
scenes, when you're
Looks
looking
like it
at the
landed
distance,
pretty
you want them
hard.
to look
The data seems
as
intact.
Copy
compositionally
that.
good as
Transmitting
possible.
to HQ now.
This game
Good
fails
work,
at that,
Outrider.
Hold on.
at least in this
Tanner?
instance.
I'm picking up the second signal, but something's weird about this one.
Weird?
The pitch is rising and falling?
Our next
supposed
objective,
to be a
I believe,
steady tone.
requires us to run
Outrider
back,
Alpha
so
to
we'll go ahead and do
HQ.
that. And I'm trying to go
Hold
through the
off on
objectives
calling in that
as
green
fast as
light.
possible
We got another
to
probe out
show you
here
as
analyze.
much of the
Negative,
game as
Alpha.
possible in
Your job
4K,
is
because for
done.
the next few videos, I will not be doing 4K,
Maxwell,
because
listen to me.
videos just
We
get
can't afford to make
extremely
mistakes.
large,
Give us
and I want to
time.
get these
Any
videos
more time and we lose our orbital
out
window.
as soon as
We
possible.
have the data, I'm calling it in. You want to keep searching?
So,
Don't blame me if you find
odds are we
trouble.
will be
Over
doing
and out.
2K for the next videos.
All right,
Hopefully we will
Outriders.
be able to check
Rendezvous
out
back
all the
with
side
convoy.
quests,
Let's go find that stray.
as well as see the skills, or all the skills available for the Devastator. And in here is
We've
our
encountered a
first
potential
encounter
biological hazard. Requesting quarantine
with
procedure at
an
base.
actual
Damn
enemy,
it, Tanner. I told
and
you
not
about
just
this, not
red
enough.
dummies.
Hey boss, we lost you.
We're getting our straight probe.
I think the game tries
How's
to do some
Scarstead?
cinematic
He looks
moments
like
where
shit.
the enemy's
Any
trying to
idea what
jump
this black
around,
gunk-
and it really comes down to this weird monkey, pig, bear, man, bear, pig, if you will, enemy. And it teaches you about the dodge mechanic.
Okay, you want to play? Let's
Skills
play.
just need control points. No ADS is necessary. The attack animation is
Captain,
very poorly
got attacked by one of
telegraphed,
those
and
cow things.
the combat in
Something
general
drove me
just
crazy. I had to
hasn't
put it
been
down.
feeling great in this game. The bullets just don't have any kick to them. There's very little residual feedback.
What the hell was that?
And here we get some warning scenes there that is very akin to the Anthem demo that we saw at E3 that remember we got the itself. And if you have not used on Anthem,
Storm is Just run.
the quality that we were promised in the E3 demo. And here you get a shotgun as well as, and this is what I mentioned, I pressed space about 3 times there
Jakob, cover me.
to
I'm going after
finally
Maxwell.
be able to get behind
gotcha.
cover.
Outriders, stand down. That's an order.
And as you can see, there's just
Right
no
after you
boom.
call off your goddamn
Combat.
goons.
Sergeant Major, the
Right, and
entire
here we
colonization
get
is threatened.
our first
We need to
loot,
warn the flora.
Your Outriders are the ones who stirred up this threat.
and it is an
Imperil.
upgraded rifle. We press
Bullshit.
I to open up our inventory, and the UI is not very intuitive. What happens is that you need to press on the item itself to show the items you have for that specific slot. So if we want to change our main weapon, we have to click on the main weapon and then click on this. If we want to change the secondary weapon, we have to click on the secondary weapon, then click on this. Not very intuitive. The same thing for the armor. So if you get, you know, a brand new pair of boots and you don't see them, it's because you're probably on the pants screen or something like that. Shotgun has no kick
Maxwell
whatsoever
set up
to
a
it.
blockade. He's gonna burn everything down.
Why?
So we can
Which
tell the
is
story his way.
odd
How the
because
Outriders fucked everything up.
people can't fly other people that made Bulletstorm, and while I never really played the game myself, I did hear a lot of good things about the combat. Also, I don't think guns blow people up. This does not happen from being shot by a bullet. Unless I am missing something completely from the lore and there's something else that's
Kill the traitors.
This
Don't let them near.
here is our first mini boss. and I love pressing space many times to get behind cover. It's really fun.
This is on your head!
Little cutscene. Because apparently this is an important NPC, at least in a few minutes. I don't really care. And as you can see, even though we are skipping many cutscenes, we are already wasting a lot of time on cutscenes and dialogue. So the game seems fairly heavy on
When
story.
is something
And if you're into that kind of thing, I'm assuming you're gonna have a good time. Finally, we get to select our classes. There is the Technomancer. It is a sniper support, basically. There is the Pyromancer. It is a fire mage. There's the Trickster, a rogue. And there's the Devastator, which is a tank. As I mentioned, I will go ahead with the Devastator. And the Devastator heals when an enemy near him dies. The Trickster heals when the same thing happens, I believe, and it also you get a shield. The Pyromancer has to mark people to heal, and the Technomancer will just have it will have a lifesteal basically. So we'll go ahead with the Devastator, and unfortunately once you select a class you are locked for that class. So if you want to experiment with the classes, you have to create a new character. Never been a fan of that. I much more enjoy games like Final Fantasy XIV, where you can switch classes whenever you want.
I need to get out of here.
So yeah, you get to play the story, you get to maximum level 7, world tier 5, and that many materials. There is no time limit. There are 4 side quests, as well as a few journal entries. And once you're done with one character, you can try it with other classes.
I just gotta get across this hellhole.
As I mentioned, I
What's
want
happening?
to run
I
through
don't
this as
belong on
fast
this
as
side.
possible to show you
What
as
the-
much of the game as possible.
Oh shit.
The scenery is nice.
Who the hell are you people? Guess it's shoot first, questions later.
But we did unlock our first skill, which is called Earthquake. It is seismic, and it interrupts enemies. They never fully explain what these tags do, but I believe seismic means it doesn't affect flying enemies. They do explain what interrupt means, and it basically interrupts enemies. So I imagine there will be some boss fights where the boss's channel is skill and you're supposed to interrupt them. If that's not the case, then interrupt simply means stun.
Running for me? Alright. I could get used to this.
And as you can see, you have to abuse the healing. While you can play the game as a cover shooter, depending on the class, Trickster and Devastator will not feel well, because you need a way to regain HP. And the only way to regain HP as those two classes is that you need to be in pretty much melee range. As you can see, as long as you are moving around,
flares.
killing enemies as you go, it is
Sword.
not an issue.
I've seen this before. In the forest. When we landed.
We may have missed some loot. And my quest to go through this as fast as possible. The game so far is not challenging at all, but I only did half an hour, I think, worth of content. Only got to
This
tier
can't be
2.
real.
And these are bosses as well. What they'll do is that they will charge, and once they get to you, they do little artillery around them. This is what happens when you get hit by. And as you can see, this is the interrupt. So once they're casting, there's the HP bar. Or not the HP bar, there's a bar below their HP that shows that they are casting something. In case you need help, the game will provide you with ads that you can kill to regain HP. Bosses are not difficult, these are not very difficult as long as you keep your distance and dodge whenever they come. We got to level 3 and we unlocked our second skill, Golem. Golem reduces the damage you take by 65% for 8 seconds, and it's got 24 seconds cooldown. So it's got a 25% uptime. Very, very powerful.
Where is she?
One thing to note is that if you do pick up a new item and the slot for that item is empty, so if you pick up a pair of boots and you don't have boots, it will auto-equip them. And as you can see, we unlocked World Tier 2. It's still on easy. And whenever you unlock a World Tier, you will get a crate.
So Jakob's in trouble and I need to go save his ass.
As you can see, we only have
At least some things never change.
2 pairs of pants. We have the better one, I guess. You can check your quests. You can check the characters, the enemies, the zones on Enoch, history and lore, as well as some journal entries. These are the skills. Remember, for this demo, the maximum level is 7. That means we only get to learn the first 4 skills. And you can only have 3 skills equipped. So we have Earthquake. Releases a shockwave to deal 49 damage. Golem. Fortify yourself against 65% of incoming damage for 8 seconds. This one we will unlock it later on. And I will not spoil it for you. This we will also unlock it later on. The class. This is, think of it as a talent system. Dismiss, please. The Devastator has 3 specs: the Vanquisher, the Warden, and the Seismic Shifter. The Vanquisher, I believe, is a DPS class, from what seems to be, from what I'm gathering from the passive points at least. The Warden seems to be the tankier one, and the Seismic Shifter seems to be a caster one. The accolades are an in-game achievement system, and you get some rewards as well. Anyway, we made it to the town.
I'm geared up and tracking down Jakob.
This is the game in its full glory, 4K, ultra settings. Take it in as you can right now, because starting next videos we will be dumping down the
Why the hell haven't you done something
resolution.
about them already?
We will also visit the vendors, get ourselves some gear because we did not loot anything, and we will see what happens with the story. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next episode.